Friends, let's begin today's video with a story. Picture this. Florentino Perez is that friend of yours who's obsessed with upgrading his gaming setup. Let's say he's got 2 controllers and he's playing very well with that setup. For argument's sake, tell us in the comments what you think we should call these controllers. I'm guessing you already know. Welcome back to No Ball IQ. In this video, we'll try to explain why Mbappe might not be the problem that everyone else is complaining about. Now, let's get back to the story. The controllers were working perfectly. Used to sync flawlessly, ensuring the muscle memory of your friend, you know who that is being utilized fully. Even though, he's a bit too old to be your friend. Maybe, who knows? But in return, he was winning matches, dominating lobbies, living the dream. But then, one fine day, he spots an RGB Pro controller at GameStop. And yes, you guys guessed it right. Comment down if you did. And deep down, he thinks to himself, this will make me unstoppable. So he drops some serious cash. Now he's got 3 controllers, but somehow his kill-death ratio tanks. The new controller keeps interfering with the old one's signals. Fueled by rage, he sells one controller after a bad match, but he's still getting absolutely destroyed. In anger and panic, he sells the other old controller too. Now he's sitting there with his expensive new gear, staring at the defeat screen for the 50th time, wondering why his premium setup feels like playing with a broken controller from a FIFA gamer who just conceded 10 goals on Weekend League on Ultimate Team and decided to take it out on the controller. And suddenly, your premium controller might be the reason you started sucking in the first place. Now boys, I know that was a horrible example, but we get the gist, right? Because in the real world, this is probably the best analogy I could come up with for Real Madrid, a club that has conquered everything, known as the Kings of Europe, with an unmatched continental pedigree, a team that had just won the Champions League, then brought in one of the biggest stars in world football. Kylian Mbappé joined Real Madrid, and let's be clear, he didn't do anything the club wasn't already aware of. If you've read the Athletics report, you know that even Champions League winning manager Carlo Ancelotti said the team might concede 15 more goals with Mbappe in it, but might also score 20 more. And Mbappe didn't just score 20 extra goals, he delivered 49 goals in a single season, doing everything you'd expect from him. But lately, the narrative on the internet is all about asking these questions. Did he press at his previous club? No. Does he press now? Also no. Did he score goals at his last club? Yes. Does he score here? Absolutely. In his very first season, he became the player with the most goals ever scored in a debut season at Real Madrid. That's no joke. But here's the twist. He joined a team that had just won the Champions League and La Liga, and that team won nothing this season. On top of that, the team's manager was sacked in his first season with Mbappe, which is a bit of a red flag, in my humble opinion. And now questions are being raised. Is this the Mbappe effect? Did Mbappe's arrival reduce Vinicius Jr.'s work rate? Do Real Madrid need both Vinicius and Mbappe to press? Is pressing non-negotiable for this team? Or is there another way? In my opinion, there is another way. The club knew even before signing him that they already had 2 left wingers. And yet, they signed a third, who's also a left winger. So now, 3 players for 1 position. You might argue, well, PSG had the same issue, and they still won nearly everything. Sure, nearly. They just lost the Club World Cup. But overall, that team was phenomenal, so it's not like this approach can't work. We've seen it succeed. The real issue is, if you try to copy-paste that same setup at Madrid, you're begging for disaster. Because the team that used to win matches is now losing by the same scoreline. Horrendous, by the way. Last season, whenever they tried to press, they looked disjointed, like they were pretending. 1 or 2 players press up, but the rest hesitate. Gaps open up, and goals are conceded as a result. And morale is dropping significantly. Real Madrid, the comeback kings, are walking with their heads down after conceding just 2 goals. Never have I seen Real Madrid give up a game in 10 minutes. But in that last match, something changed. It raises questions that only Xabi Alonso can answer now. Florentino Perez made all the decisions he believed were right, and I won't pretend that Perez only made things worse for this club. His scouting over the last decade has shaped Real Madrid as a European elite. But then he brought in Mbappe. He replaced Ancelotti with Xabi Alonso. He gave Xabi signings like Carreras, Huijsen, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he's even eyeing someone like Konate. But the big question still remains. If Real Madrid's attack doesn't press, can this team still function? Here's the thing I always say, and I'll say it again. Football isn't charity. There's no one right way to play football. We've seen teams dominate with a back five. We've seen long ball, hoofball tactics work on the biggest stages. We've also seen possession-based sides and counter-attacking sides both succeed simultaneously. So if Vinicius and Mbappe don't press, you've got at least two choices in my opinion. At the start of the 2025-2026 season, train them to press. Drill it in. Non-negotiable. You can't have a system where Mbappe has the luxury of not pressing while the rest of your team burns out. If you want him to press, you'd better see signs in the first few weeks of La Liga. And if not, that's okay too. You can still build a successful team, just not with high pressure. Maybe not as beautiful or fluid as Lucho Ball, but a solid, structured side that uses its devastating front line on the counter. That same trio, Vinicius, Mbappe, Rodrigo, was hyped for being deadly in transition. If you lose the ball to them, you're dead. That's what the buzz was when Kylian joined in. That's the identity Madrid needs to lean into. Now, the other part of the fantasy is, if Mbappe and Vinicius won't press, now what will you do? Then you must set up a resolute defensive structure, prepare your defenders to win duels consistently, accept that most games will require grit, not glamour, and maybe that can create an identity. Now, we're almost at the end of this episode, so let's wrap up with a low-key counter-argument. Is this sustainable? Maybe, especially for a club like Madrid. But does this approach have weaknesses? Absolutely. Plenty of teams could tear this system apart. There's a joke I keep hearing: give the ball to Bellingham. He can't even rotate under pressure. So if your midfield can't handle pressure, how do you build play? You'll need to tweak the small things. How does the ball reach your attackers? How do you shape your defense? And how do you make Mbappe a part of the team, not just a passenger? That's going to define Real Madrid's entire season. So friends, keep a close eye on this upcoming season. Watch how Mbappe is deployed. That alone could decide whether Madrid's next season is a make or break one. Are we going to see a Madrid that loses El Clasico after El Clasico again? Or the one that flies through everything in its way? This is going to be one of Madrid's most unpredictable seasons ever. Tell me in the comments, what did you think of this breakdown? Till then, stay tuned. Don't you ever go without subscribing. Almost 97% of you, yes, you people not subscribing, please do. Anyways, peace.